After an eventful morning exploring Jewel Cave National Monument, my father and I traveled on Old Highway 16 south of Rapid City to our next destination. Reptile Gardens is a one-of-a-kind exotic zoo located within the Black Hills region. They are Guinness World Record holders of the largest reptile zoo and offer unique activities for guests to experience. The cost of entry varies per season, but typically adults are $15 to $20 per person, and children under the age of 3 are free. Other unique animal species you will find within Reptile Gardens include giant tortoises, crocodiles, alligators, several varieties of deadly snakes, bald eagles, and more. The complex itself consists of several buildings to explore, as well as a central botanical garden and sky dome. I highly recommend visiting this place if you are staying within the Rapid City region because it was above and beyond my expectations and definitely one of the highlights of this journey out west. The Reptile Garden story began in 1935 when a 19-year-old Earl Brocklesby discovered people's innate interest in snakes. As a young tour guide at a local Rapid City attraction, this fearless snake enthusiast would often end his tours by removing his hat and revealing a live rattlesnake coiled on top of his head. He took special note of his visitors' reactions. They were always excited and thrilled to see a live rattlesnake up close. Throughout this video, my father and I will explore the pristine grounds of this complex and showcase 2 exotic animal demonstrations by a very talented worker at the facility. The demonstrations were very entertaining and informative. In 1965, Reptile Gardens was forced to move due to the construction of a new highway. Moving to its current location, 6 miles south of Rapid City in Spring Creek Valley, the new and improved park featured a new sky dome with a safari room. This large enclosed area gave visitors the rare opportunity to walk amongst free-roaming reptiles and birds. Although this kind of exhibit has become common at zoos, Earl was among the first to envision and create one in the United States. Welcome everyone to the Reptile Gardens here in South Dakota, near Rapid City. This should be very interesting.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you, sir. What is this? Oh, they're awards. Nice. Those are all the awards they won. Alright guys, it's time for the snake show here. Really big complex too.
Go find a seat up here.
Alright, there's prairie dogs over here.
They're all wet. One in the corner there.
Aw. All their little holes are all soaked.
There might be a big old line down there.
So of course the left is the prairie dog town. You guys can see South Dakota's fattest group of prairie dogs. Right down that direction is our giant tortoise yard. We have 10 giant off-the-average tortoises out there. It's pretty cool. We got 3 teenagers, 3 adults, and 4 babies. Actually, the babies aren't out right now, but the other 6 are. They're pretty cool. You can go pet them, take pictures, hang out. It's awesome. Then make sure you see everything in the dome, and that's where most of our exhibits are. Back in 2014, we're named the largest reptile collection in the world. So there's all kinds of stuff to see in there: snakes, frogs, alligators, spiders, all that kind of real cool stuff. And then about 30 minutes after I'm done up here, we're also going to have an alligator show. So you just follow this path and it's right down to our alligator arena down there. There's 30 alligators in there. It's pretty cool. And then just to the right of that is our avian avenue, where we have all our birds, so the hawks, owls, parrots, all that kinds of real boring and scary stuff. So yeah, besides that, I'm going to jump into the animals here. Whereas all these guys that I'm going to have are part of a group of reptiles. There are 5 types of reptiles living today. Like the snakes and lizards are probably the most familiar groups to you guys. The third kind are the crocodilians, which is like the alligators and the crocodiles. Turtles and tortoises are 4th, and the 5th is what's known as the tuatara. The tuatara is a very lizard-like animal. They're super rare. Only found in some tiny islands kind of by New Zealand, so they're really rare. The tuatara, turtles, tortoises, and crocodilians are all the ancient reptiles. More modern ones are like snakes and lizards. Obviously, we'll spend a few more minutes talking about snakes. But before we get this first guy out, I do have a couple questions for you guys right off the bat. So how many of you guys out there actually like snakes? Raise your hand. Nice. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. All right. How many of you guys out there are just absolutely terrified of snakes? Raise your hand. Nice. Raise them high. This is how I choose volunteers. So, the first guy that I have for you guys, he is actually a harmless variety. He's named in Central and South America. He's known as the yellow-tailed cribo. And the folks who aren't really familiar with snakes, a snake always seems kind of cold and slimy. Like all reptiles, they are cold-blooded. That only means that their body temperature is the same as their surroundings, and not that they're always cold. And as they're being slimy, really a snake has no reason to be slimy, so they're just not. Some snakes do have smooth, shiny scales, which might make them look slimy. And other snakes, like the cribo, can have these enlarged scales, and they do kind of feel abrasive to the touch. You might also notice that this snake is going to occasionally stick his forked tongue out at you guys. So he's not actually being rude, and all he's doing is he is simply smelling his environment. And the tongues of snakes actually pick up particles from the air, and they bring them back into the mouth to a specialized organ on the upper jaw, which is known as the Jacobson's organ. And the sense of smell is actually snake's most important sense. As a rule, he's always going to rely on that sense of smell, especially when identifying food. To kind of give you guys an example, just how much they rely on the sense of smell, I've come up with a funny, cute little story for you guys. So a few years ago, it was like 10 or 15 years ago, so way before I started, one of our staff, he accidentally spilled a bucket of fish that he's feeding to some snakes on display upstairs in the dome. And of course this guy went through, he cleaned it all up, honestly didn't think much more about it. However, the next day he came in and he found one of these snakes with his mouth going flat against the floor and he's trying to swallow his own exhibit. But fortunately that keeper was a really quick thinking keeper and actually managed to stop that snake then from swallowing the entire dome. Best joke I got for you guys. I'm cold, I'm shivering up here. And so some snakes like the cribo, and they're hungry out there looking for some food, and they find an animal, they're going to reach out there, bite onto it, and then just immediately start swallowing it while it's still alive. And swallowing your prey while it's still living will always ensure a fresh meal. However, it is very likely that the animal being eaten will not enjoy being eaten alive. And so they're going to fight back. That animal can hurt or kill a snake. And so it's a lot safer than these guys just to kill their prey before they try and eat it. And most snakes, they tend to believe that anyways. Alright, let me put this guy back. Everybody when they see a big guy, they always think of like a boa constrictor, but this guy here is actually a Burmese python.
Oh, jeez.
And as you can see, Burmese python is a very large snake. This one is actually just a little one. And we had one last fall that died that was around 20 feet long, so they get huge. Yeah, he's on me. And, that being said, they're not even close to being the largest snakes in the world. The largest snake in the world is actually the green anaconda. Those guys can reach lengths of 25 feet and weigh in excess of 300 pounds. So huge snakes. And the Burmese python, like all pythons, are actually constrictors. So they use constriction to kill their prey. And really, constriction is not what most people think it is. And everybody, of course, sees these TV shows, or they watch the movie Anaconda. And they think that constriction is that kind of bone-crushing, gut-curdling, eyeballs popping out of the socket, really gross thing. Definitely not even close to that. And all constriction is just like you squeeze it with such force that that animal can no longer breathe. Their heart has no room to beat, so they rapidly die of like a heart attack or a cardiac arrest. It's definitely not what you see on TV. Now, then once their prey is dead, they have to eat it. Obviously, a snake has no real arms or legs, and their teeth are recurved because the snakes can't chew their food. For snakes, this isn't a very big problem, simply because they have no chin. So the only limit to how wide the snake can actually open his mouth is how far the snake's skin can stretch. Since the snake's skin was very, very elastic, that typically means they can swallow prey that is several times their own diameter. And this includes little kids. Kill the snake, so it's a lot safer then for these guys to kill their prey through the use of venom. But before I put the Burmese python back, we like to classify them into three very basic groups. First group are the rear-fanged snakes, and the second two groups are the front-fanged snakes. This guy, he's actually part of that first group, the rear fangs. He's known as the mangrove snake. There he is. The mangrove snake does not have the ability to truly inject his venom, and instead, this snake, he's going to reach out there and he's going to bite onto his prey, work that animal, then to the rear of its mouth, and hang on until that venom runs out of his venom glands and down into the animal's wound. It is pretty easy to imagine how those venom systems evolved when we realized even the most toxic snake venoms are just modified forms of saliva. So, maybe the early snakes developed grooves in their teeth, so that saliva explains their prey for more efficient digestion, eventually then developing toxins which also aided in killing their prey. But because of their inefficient fangs, the vast majority of rear-fanged snakes, they are completely harmless to people. There are a few exceptions to that. Snakes like the boomslang and the African savanna vine snake, they both have been known to kill people. In fact, the boomslang has one of the most toxic snake venoms in the world, and Reptile Gardens is actually one of the only places in the United States that has boomslang on display. We have two of them up there, and they're super cool. They're kind of a real jet black color. The mangrove snake, nobody's ever died from these guys, thankfully. We have had several bites over the years, though. We actually had one really recently. It was like 2 or 3 days ago, so really, really recently. The guy that got bit by this snake, I know he's kind of the biggest, dumbest meathead kind of guy you could ever meet. And somehow this snake reached over and bit him right here in the shoulder. How that happens, I have no clue. Like I said, he's really, really dumb. And within an hour of this guy getting bit, his shoulder actually grew to be about twice its original size. It was kind of a nasty purplish blue color. And if you squeeze it hard enough, it shoots juice out at you. Like I said, found in two groups. The first group are the vipers, and the second group are the elapids. And we'll get to the elapids in just a second. This guy here is a very, very notorious snake. I'm almost positive most of you guys have heard of him before. He's a semi-aquatic pit viper native to the southeastern part of the United States, known as the cottonmouth. The cottonmouth, like all vipers, do have really long fangs. Their fangs are so long, in fact, if they were to sit permanently erect, would stick out through the bottom of the snake's mouth. But as I pass along, I won't see any teeth sticking out through the bottom of the snake's face. It will not be used. They fold up to the roof of the mouth. Vipers also have this pretty cool ability that allows them to open their jaws to almost 180 degrees. And at this angle, their fangs are actually sinking directly out in front of them. So unlike the other two kinds of venomous snakes, these guys do not even have to bite their prey. And all they're going to do is kind of reach out there and strike it, just barely poke that prey item, and the venom then is injected and he sits back or relaxes and just kind of lounges around until that prey succumbs to the venom. And like I mentioned, I'm taking this guy out. The cottonmouth is part of a group of snakes known as the pit vipers. Pit vipers have a sense that we don't have. And as it says in the name, these guys have these tiny heat-seeking pits between their eyeballs and their nostrils. These pits allow the snake to sense even the most minute changes in the temperature around them. It basically gives them like a pair of heat vision goggles. So when he's out there hunting at night, or he's over here in the prairie dog town looking for a snack, I know they can accurately locate and strike that prey with just that. The answer, there's a lot of different answers to this. A lot of people think the deadliest snake is the one with the most toxic snake venom. That is the inland taipan. Those guys live in kind of the central part of Australia. It said that one bite from an inland taipan can kill well over 100 people in under 30 to 40 minutes. It's really, really toxic venom. That being said, they live basically in the middle of nowhere. There's only one human fatality on record. And I think there's two reasons for this. Like I mentioned before, they live out in the middle of nowhere, so they rarely encounter humans. The second reason being that they live out in the middle of nowhere. And if you get bit by one, who else is going to know? But, you know, most people consider the deadliest snake to be the one that actually kills most people each year. And this snake, there's actually two snakes that are kind of tied with furs. The guy I'm going to show you, actually both of them, they do live in kind of the parts of the world where it's the most populated. Most people are, going short pants, short pants, no shoes, stuff like that. Medical attention is not readily available. This one's actually really, really famous snake. He's actually known as the monocled cobra. Say hi, buddy. Come say hi. There he is. And the coolest part of a cobra is his hood here. Jeez. And the cobra's hood is actually formed by erecting elongated ribs in the snake's neck region. He assumes that hood of position when he feels threatened to make himself look much, much bigger and much more intimidating. And when he's hooded up like that, I find that very effective. But in that hooded form, in that elevated position in the hooded form, cobra strike is kind of a forward and downward motion. Of course, snake bite's pretty slow, so even an average person can actually get within striking range of a cobra and let that snake strike and actually easily avoid being bit. So now, this is my volunteers to come up. But if you were to try that with literally any other snake, a rattlesnake, cottonmouth, something like that, if you would get bit, you have to go to the hospital. And these guys, really very deadly snake. They'll kill somewhere around 20,000 people per year. So it's twice as many total bites that we have on a really, really bad year. Even if you are to get bit by this snake, and you go immediately to the hospital, get anti-venom, everything like that, it is actually only a 50% chance that you can survive that snake bite. It's out there, like the shape of the head, shape of the pupils, different colorations in their color patterns, different scale patterns, everything like that. But both venomous and non-venomous snakes do have those characteristics. There's only three real ways to tell if the snake has venom or not. First way is being, you see a snake down there, you want to know if he has venom, and all you're going to do is you're going to kind of reach out there, and you're going to go and catch that snake, and open up its mouth, and look for the fangs and the venom apparatus. Easy enough. The second way is kind of the fastest way and the dumbest way. Reach your hand out there, let that snake bite you, and if your hand feels like it's on fire, you fall over and croak. Now it's probably a venomous snake. Then the third way is the smartest way, and actually is the safest way. It really is just to learn which venomous snakes are in your area, or in an area you intend to visit. Now here in South Dakota, we are fortunate to only have one venomous snake. I'm sure most of you guys know who this guy is. He is the prairie rattlesnake. And the most interesting part of a rattlesnake is his unique tail appendage, his rattle. And we all know what you get when you count the number of segments on rattlesnakes rattle, right?
I'm not.
Hey, you get bit. It is pretty common for people to believe that if you count the number of segments on a rattlesnake's rattle, it will give you their age. But he gains a new segment on the end of his tail each time he sheds his skin. It's going to be from 1, even 10 times per year that do actually occasionally fall off, kind of like this guy right here. But the rattle does actually tell us other things, like a rattlesnake will always rattle before he strikes, unless he strikes and rattles later. And these two things, they have literally nothing to do with one another. Both venomous and non-venomous snakes, they do rattle their tail and feel threatened, and not just the rattlesnakes. But no, maybe hypothetically though, if you're out in the wilderness going hiking, fishing, or even if you're just in your backyard doing some yard work, and you hear a rattlesnake, well, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to run. The problem with running is if you hear a rattlesnake but don't actually know where he is, of course you might step right on him. And he would not like that very much. So what you really want to do, when you hear a rattlesnake, is you're going to want to go ahead and freeze. Simply because movement actually attracts their attention. Movement might be dangerous. You're going to go ahead and locate that snake, and then you scream like a girl and run the other direction. So maybe you are like me, and you are kind of dumb. You keep coming up to this snake, and you're poking him, prodding him, trying to catch, kill, maybe even tease or punch that snake. Don't blame him for having sex. The vast majority of venomous snake bites, they do actually occur from harassing these guys. And funnily enough, most of those snake bites do occur to men between the ages of 18 and 25. And alcohol is almost always a factor. Do you see those drunken rattlesnakes out there? That's everywhere. But, prairie rattlesnakes are actually really beneficial for the environment. They prey upon all kinds of rodents, mice, rats, voles, prairie dogs, children, stuff like that. And make my job look pretty easy. But, according to Facebook, I am a trained professional. I did watch a 30-second video on how not to get bit by a snake, so I'm good, don't try this at home. But besides that, make sure you check out the alligator show. There's going to be a really nice, handsome, funny guy down there doing that. And, besides that, when you get the snake out here, you have to pet the snake, or I will chase you. But besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed the snake show. Thank you very much.
Alright guys, I hope you all enjoyed that beautiful snake exhibit show. That guy did a really great job explaining all the various types of snakes. And now we're just going to walk around this reptile exhibit, just kind of explore. It's a beautiful landscape here.
Louis, you're out, Louis.
All right. Oh, look at those crocodiles. Here we go, the giant tortoise exhibit.
We need to go. There's more. There's more. There's more.
Why don't you guys come up over here?
Let's go. Let's go.
Go touch his head now. Don't bite, just relax.
No, there we go.
Be gentle. Soft is terrible.
What's down over here?
There's a little dragon down there too. You see it in the cage.
Down here?
No, it's behind us.
Oh.
Go that way. It's an eagle.
Wow.
He must have gotten a little wet in the rain. He's all fluffy.
Maybe you take it to one pouch.
They're pretty awesome. You can go out there, take pictures, hang out with them, pet them, everything like that. Pretty cool. Then yeah, besides that, that's about it. So I'm gonna get started with all the animals in here. All the animals in here are reptiles. They belong to a group of reptiles called the crocodilians. There are 4 types of this group. There's the alligator, the crocodile, caiman, and the emerald right there. You have a slender snouted crocodile. He's kind of that funny looking one there in the middle, and a saltwater crocodile. Normally she's hiding, she's down here in the bottom, she's kind of yellow. Then we also have one Yakare caiman, and he's that one with his tail almost in the water there, the little white down his back, the real plump guy down there, that's Carl. As like I said earlier, there are other differences between the two, but really only a herpetologist would know or even care about those. They're kind of amazingly quick when striking. That guy's kind of lazy, but kind of comparably slow when running. I'll kind of demonstrate forward here in just a second. Actually, 6-foot alligator. Now these guys can outrun a human for a short distance. The only problem with that is most of the animals they eat are faster than humans. So again, they don't even try. They just kind of sit there and do nothing. Like I said, I'll show you how quick these guys can be here in just a second. And while I'm at it, I'll kind of demonstrate how to restrain a large alligator. Because I'm sure most of you guys have heard that an average person can hold the jaws shut, just a massive alligator. You can just hold this guy's mouth shut. I wouldn't go as far as to say you can hold the world's largest alligator's jaws shut. The average person does have sufficient strength in their hands to overpower the muscles that open the jaws of a 6- or 7-foot alligator. The only problem with that is they might not sit there long enough for you to simply reach down there, grab its jaws, and hold it shut. You might jump up there, bite your hand, turn and walk off, or twist and roll with you. So there are techniques dealing with an alligator that would like to help us demonstrate this. Come on. Let's go. Back it up. And I do want you guys to kind of help me choose which alligator you want to see. And so now, do you guys want to see a big one or a little one? Little one? Okay. I'm just kidding. And then do you want a mean one or a nice one? Mean one! Crocodile? No. Alright. Get these guys out of my way and then I can find a nice Alright.
Jeez.
And now we got ourselves a volunteer. Don't eat that.
Oh, it's like Dexy. Oh, you bite everything. Isn't it?
Get back here. He's trying to escape.
Come on. And once you get your volunteer, of course, you're going to want to try and get on this alligator's back. This can be achieved by kind of straightening them out here, running and jumping. Easy as that. Just don't get bit. All right. Make sure, you really want to make sure this guy's all nice and straight down. How does it jump on this alligator? Then, once you're on the alligator, you're going to get your knees here to his armpits and your feet turned inward behind his hind legs. And this will keep the alligator from backing up. There's two really, really important reasons why I don't want this alligator to back up from underneath me. And I'll let you guys use your imagination. But while I'm here, I'm going to kind of point out a few other things about the alligator. You guys are an amphibious reptile. You're not an amphibian. Amphibian is like a frog, a toad, or a salamander, but they do spend a great deal of time in the water. Of course, some of that time under the water. They can hold their breath for up to several hours at a time. The length of time depends on how warm they are and how active they are, or depends on, or determines how fast they use up that oxygen.
Aww.
These guys are all very well adapted for an aquatic life. I'm going to see if I can get this guy to kind of open up its jaws. Let me get a look at one of those adaptations. Come on. Open. Open. Say ah. Open. Maybe not. Come on. Well, if he was to open up, you would notice they cannot see down an alligator. So you can kind of see this guy here. This is because the back of their tongue actually acts as a valve that closes, so he can open up his jaws in the water without taking in any water. So you never see down an alligator's throat unless you catch him out there yawning or you're on the way down. He's sneaking around. His skull, so he's in the water just decided to poke it up above the surface. Now this is a really good adaptation for hunting, but it does leave the eyes in a vulnerable position. So they are actually retractable when they can lay down flat into the alligator's skull, where they're protected by this really heavy bony ridge down here in the center. And you guys might have noticed when I got on this alligator, I did actually cover up his eyes. Now, cover up an alligator's eyes, this seems to quiet the animal. We've been told if you cover up an alligator's eyes, it's going to sit here and lie motionless, of course, because he thinks he's dead. Me being the thinker, smart guy out here, come up and cover just one eye, and now is he half dead? Once they hear that sound, they know dinner is served. Okay. Crocodiles everywhere. And due to the location of their eyes, they have a hard time seeing anything that's not above them. So you're gonna see this mean as it flies through the air, hear it, hit the ground, and after that, really is just kind of a matter of feeling for it. Okay. Come on. You might also notice when they pick up this meat, they do roll their heads to the side. And this is because their heads are too long, their necks are too short for them to simply reach forward to pick up that meat. It's like that. Oh, that was a saltwater crocodile there. Okay. And so I do actually only have one more piece of meat here. I'm going to feed one of these guys over here since there's a whole bunch of them. Notice that not everybody out here is being fed. And like all large carnivorous reptiles, these guys can fast for an amazingly long period of time without any harmful effects. I'm going to give you guys an example of just how long they can last without food. Now there's in Africa a group of Nile crocodiles. They eat only one significant meal per year. That's when the wildebeest herds migrate through. So somebody here wants to miss a feed that have no problem waiting a few hours. And keep on will rake that vegetation to mound, where it deposits anywhere from 12 to 60 hard-shelled eggs. They're about the size.
Okay, so after that gator show, we're now heading up to the top floor of the Reptile Gardens. Wow. This reminds me of Phipps Conservatory. Doesn't it? Look at this. Oh wow, look at this skeleton over here. Burmese python skeleton. Jeez, that is sweet. What a beautiful place. By the way, they say this is the largest reptile exhibit in the world. Look at this. Wow. Look at these amethyst geodes. Look at how amazing this is, guys. I'd love to have this in the studio. Oh wow, it's $8,000 for 510 pounds. Thank you for watching today's video at Reptile Gardens in South Dakota. It was truly an amazing place, and stay tuned for more content coming soon.